Hello everyone, Danny here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Absolute Superman number 7. This is a new book from the Absolute line at DC Comics. This is written by Jason Aaron, with art by Carmine Di Giandomenico, Ulysses Arreola on colors, letters by Becca Carey. We still have a cover by Rafa Sandoval, of course, the main artist on the book. This is the prologue. Issue 7 is the prologue for the first arc. Superman, son of the demon in mind, is a terrible thing. And as you can probably tell from the cover, this is all about Brainiac. So let's talk about it. The horrors of absolute Brainiac revealed. His stolen alien technology is at the heart of Lazarus Corp's global success, but he operates out of a city layer packed with bottle cities. Cities he tortures relentlessly just to hear the faint chorus of screams. Who is the mysterious Brainiac? And why is he so interested in the last son of Krypton? This issue to me read like a horror story. It really helps that they brought in Jean Domenico. I'm a big fan of his work. From Batman the Night to other stuff that just the way that he has captured this body horror that Brainiac is bringing to the book is amazing. And of course, Jason Aaron giving us the body horror in the story as part of this like twisted, messed up Brainiac. It's really, really cool. I love the new origin. I'm not gonna talk about it too much because I don't want to spoil it. But just be prepared to see some really messed up things. This is not the Brainiac, devoid of feelings. This is not the Brainiac that that is all logical. This is a different type of villain. And I also love that the lettering for Brainiac it's got the inverted color scheme of the black background with the bubbles and then the white letters. That really tells you a lot about the tone of the character itself. And then of course there's a lot of places where the letters get a little bit bigger because he's screaming, he's yelling. I think Brainiac yelling at those little bottles, the cities that he's captured in the past, and then just the design of Brainiac himself, like with the exposed brain, the cables running all around him, and the things that he's doing to these people, the things that he's doing to some of the Omega Men who he has a run-in with. It's all explained by his origin as you kind of get through the pages. This was a really fun, really messed up issue to read, but man, oh man, I was thoroughly entertained. I really love this idea of this Brainiac. But the main part is also, what is the mystery, right? What is this? What does this being want with Superman? What does he know about Superman? What does he know about Krypton? Like, what is the understanding? And then why is he helping, or why is he behind all this stuff that's going on at Lazarus? So many mysteries still ahead. But yeah, man, these Absolute comics have really been kicking ass, and I'm really enjoying them. So if Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we're going to be doing a review for Absolute Green Lantern number 2. This is a new book from the Absolute line of DC Comics. This is written by Al Ewing with art by Jano Lindsay, who's also doing colors and the cover, letters by Lucas Gattoni. We do have a few variant covers. This is Chapter 2, Episode 2, The Abin-Sur. In this issue, Earth will be judged by Abin-Sur. Abin-Sur has arrived, and he's here to judge all of the people of Evergreen, including Joe Mullen and Hal Jordan. But is this alien being friend or foe? And what will his judgment bring? So yeah, we are still deep into the mystery of this being that landed on Evergreen. We got to meet a lot of the characters last episode that we were familiar with from the Green Lantern mythos, and to see how Al Ewing's using them in this new mythology, this different universe. This one we get even more of that. I really like this story. It feels a lot to me like a big mystery that we just have to unpack, right? Things are going back and forth. We've seen Hal Jordan, he has that black hand. We don't know what that means, except if you are a fan of the Green Lantern mythology, you have an idea of what the Black Hand could represent, at least in the big scope of things. So it's really interesting to see that at that level. Of course, bringing in all these other lanterns that we're familiar with, John, Joe, Guy. Still, no signs of Kyle, and it worries me, but it also I feel like there's a reason for it. Um, yeah, I'm just very intrigued as to what's going to happen here in the next few episodes for this. But this one was great. Another really cool way to unravel the mystery. We finally get a little bit of a conversation between Joe and Hal, while we also flash back to the events of what happened that day. We still need to explore who is this Abin being and what gives them the right to judge the people of Evergreen. And why was Evergreen the place that was picked for the judgment? There's a lot of questions, a lot of doubts that are still we still don't have a question to. Now, Jano Lindsay continues to do some really cool work. His work, because of how stylized it is, it gives me a lot of manga vibes. You can tell this is a lot inspired by that, right? Even the design of Abensor, and I might have talked about this on issue 1. The design of Abensor is, it feels to me like Majin Buu, like that type of character. So yeah, I love the way that we are approaching this, and also we are getting to learn by both the way that January draws the characters and the way that Ewing writes them. Each one of the like a little bit more about the archetypes, and Hal's very impulsive, Jun's very cool, calm, and collected. We still need to learn more about Joe, and then of course, like I said, explore the mystery of this Abin's War. Yeah, it's great stuff. What does it mean to wield the ring? What does it mean to wield that Black Hand? We still have a lot to learn, but I love the slow burn of this. I love how we're just kind of unfolding the story back and forth. So this is really fun. I'm really, really enjoying this book in the Absolute line. So, hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Star Wars #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. This is it. We are back. A brand new Star Wars title begins. Let's talk a little bit about this issue. An epic new adventure begins for Luke, Leia, and Han in the wake of the Return of the Jedi. New York Times bestselling author Alex Segura launches the bold next era of Star Wars, where Luke Skywalker must defend the New Republic from a bloodthirsty gang of mercenaries. Han Solo investigates a deadly underworld mystery and saves a surprising ally, and Leia Organa must grapple with a new alliance opposed to the goals of the New Republic. This is, as I mentioned, written by Alex Segura with art by Phil Noto, one of my favorite artists, just overall, but on Star Wars, primo work, with letters by Clem Cowell. Of course, a million covers from by many very talented people. This is exciting. This is really fun because this is where the movies stop, right? I know we have other shows and now a lot more properties, but back in the day, this is where you stop. Like this is all you had for Star Wars, right? Return of the Jedi is done, and this is what happens to all those characters after that. We have a 30-year gap where we don't know exactly everywhere they were. Now, of course, we've seen Luke in The Mandalorian, which takes place 5 years after, and in Ahsoka. So we know a little bit about Luke. But obviously, because of different reasons, we don't know much about Han Solo. We don't know much about Leia. We don't know what these characters were up to. We don't know which of the characters from the comics are coming over into the new world. And I really like that Alex Segura really broke this up into 3 different parts. Let's talk about all the people that we want to follow, which of course, Luke Skywalker, right? He has just saved the galaxy from an unknown evil that probably most of the galaxy does not even know what truly occurred. We also have Leia, who has been fighting pretty much her whole life for this freedom, for the New Republic. But what does that mean? Now that you have this freedom, now that the New Republic exists, it's not like every other planet is just gonna comply, because that's what the Empire did. And even with the Empire, they fought them, right? They weren't well received everywhere. And then of course Han Solo getting up to shenanigans. I will tell you right now, Valance is back, the bounty hunter. But what does Han Solo want or have to do with this Terminator bounty hunter? Very exciting stuff. As I mentioned, I love Phil Noto's artwork on Star Wars. He's really good at capturing the likenesses, the smirk of Han Solo, the sincere look of Princess Leia, the bewildered look of Luke Skywalker when he's in a bind. Um, it just really really works for me. I love it. I love the action sequences, and man, there are some pages in here that I just want to see like printed out as a poster. Like, I love that stuff. It's just really cool. All the characters get new redesigns, although you do get to see Luke a lot in the. I think he's getting a new redesign maybe for the next issue, because for the most part you see him in his X-wing pilot outfit. But Han Solo's got new gear. Leia has got new gear as she kind of has to go on this uh, tour of like inviting people into the New Republic and trying to convince them that it is best to ally. But of course, the Empire, just because the Palpatine is gone, does not mean that those Imperial forces are fully gone. There's still other threats in the galaxy. There's pirates. There's scum and villainy everywhere. So, great beginning to a new era of Star Wars. And I wonder, like I said, which of the other characters, including Dr. Afra, I need a Dr. Afra update. Which of those characters we're going to see in the future of this story, and how this story might mesh with some of the stuff that we know happens later on, including the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, all those things that happen after, all the way leading up to the prequel, to the sequel trilogy. So, hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Star Wars Hyperspace Stories Codebreaker #1. This is a new book from Dark Horse Comics from their own Star Wars line. So Dark Horse also published Star Wars comics, but they're different from the Marvel comics. Everything still seems to be in continuity, but they pick and choose different characters. This one specifically deals with Poe Dameron. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into the book. This book is written by Ethan Sachs, with pencils by Mark Yarsa, Jose Marsan Jr. on inks, colors by Nicola Ricci, and letters by Tyler Smith and Jimmy Betancourt. In this book, we see Poe Dameron, who is a confident hotshot A's Resistance pilot, as you've seen in the movies. He and his outspoken droid companion, BB-8, have seen plenty of action against the First Order. Now they are sent on a mission to investigate a piece of the First Order tech used to decode resistance messages. But standing between them and their objective is an infamous TIE fighter pilot. Can Poe outfly his enemy, or will the mission go down in flames before it begins? I really like the hyperspace stories because they're just kind of standalone, really cool things. This one's going to be 4 parts. And if you remember, a few weeks ago, I did a review for one story about the Bad Batch. So that one's still ongoing. So these I like to check out the first issue just to see if it's a story that I'm going to be into. Spoiler alert, I'm very much into this one because Poe Dameron's a cool character. I love him, and I love him hanging out with BB-8. This feels kind of like a bit of a heisty type of, we got to recover something, we got to explore, and then Poe's got to use his wits to kind of get the job done while still showcasing all his skills as a pilot. I think Ethan Sachs really captures that. He really captures the tension of these missions, and it's a very fun comic. Now, as far as the artwork, I actually really enjoy how different this feels from some of the other stuff. This kind of stands out on its own, which I like because it gives me that feeling of this is from, a specific era. This is from the sequels era of Star Wars, where the ships look a little bit different. The uniforms, like the First Order and the Rebels look a little bit different, but still with some of those touches. The art is never meant to be photorealistic, even though you see a lot of people that you've seen from the movie, so you know what they look like, right? Of course, General Organa is in this, Poe Dameron, as I mentioned, and a few other characters that are in the periphery of the films. But they're identifiable characters. You don't need to see Oscar Isaac's face on every single panel, but there's a lot of traits like his smirk, or the little, the when he makes a confused face, or when he's making a joke, or all that stuff really just feels like the characters that are in the movies just adapted into the comic medium. So I really like that. I don't have a problem with photorealistic depictions of these characters, but I feel like a stylized version of them works really well for me. This book is also full of humor. I think Ethan Sachs can capture that as well, specifically the relationship between BB-8 and Poe Dameron, right? So, yeah, this book works on a lot of levels. I was very happy to have read this. This whole weekend has been very pretty. This whole month felt very Star Wars heavy when it comes to content, right? We had the re-release of Revenge of the Sith in theaters, Andor's kicking ass in the TV, and then the comics is just really fun to get into them. Marvel's about to relaunch their own Star Wars. I need to read the free comic book day preview. So yeah, a lot of Star Wars content, a lot of really cool stuff, and I'm very excited. This is the time for that. So if you Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Kid Juggernaut #1. This is a book from Marvel Comics. I wanted to check this out because it jumped out at me that this was a one-shot collection. This is collecting all of Kid Juggernaut from Marvel's Voices Infinity comic 1 through 6, but it is printed for the first time. And then, of course, I saw this really cool cover and I was like, well, I kind of got to have it. Let's talk about the creative team. This is written by Emily Kim with art by Minkyu Young and Peter Wynn. They go through and change chapters. You'll be able to see the art difference in some of the preview, and then also if you pick up the book, we have colors by Michael Wiggum and letters by Irina Meher. But who is the Kid Juggernaut? Let's talk about it. The unstoppable Justin Jin, the origin story of one of the hottest new characters in the Marvel Universe, Kid Juggernaut of the Avengers Academy cast. Just before his mysterious death, Justin's father sent a package to his strange son containing a fragment of a crimson gem, the gem of the Sidorak. How did it end up in his family's hands? What does Sidorak want with a sweet baker's boy from Vancouver? And can Doctor Strange help Justin sort out these magical shenanigans before it turns into the instrument of the Sidorak's rage? So this is an oversized issue. It has about 48 pages, seeing how it's collecting 6 different issues of the Infinity comic. Now, sometimes these adaptations of the Infinity comics, because those are the ones you're meant to scroll up, they don't fully translate, but this one surprisingly works pretty well. I think I love the design of the characters, how you very quickly understand Justin, and how he's just a normal kid. He has a regular, family. He doesn't fully stand out, but there's definitely something in the periphery. There's a reason why his family was picked for this, to have this fragment of the Sidorak gem, which, for those that may not know, the Sidorak is the being, the entity, this demon that powers the main Juggernaut, the original Juggernaut. So it's really interesting. I appreciate the art changes too, especially when there's a little bit of a flashback. It just really feels like a normal kid, and then of course getting thrown into the deep end with these powers. And then we see the appearance of Doctor Strange, and we see that maybe some memories, some thoughts of the original Juggernaut. There's a lot of interesting connections here. And like I said, going back and forth between the art changes with the flashbacks and the present story feels pretty interesting. Overall, I think it works. There are a lot of panels that, of course, are pretty they're kind of narrow and vertical, because, like I mentioned, this was originally published in the Infinity format. So if you want to pick it up just because you want to have one of these cool covers, I would definitely do that. But if not, you can always go back to the Marvel app and then just check it out there, because if you have the Marvel Unlimited service, you can read all those Infinity comics. So yeah, interesting stuff. I like when Marvel does this because, I mean, creators get you can't take your phone to get signed at a convention by the creators, but now if I ever see that any of these creators are coming over, or to one of the conventions, I can take this book and get a sign. So that's also pretty neat. So hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Wolverine and Kitty Pride #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. This book takes place in a prior continuity, and I will be very honest. The main reason I picked this book up was because of this really, really cool cover. I don't normally like to read um, books that are out of the main continuity, especially those that are taking a flashback to a long gone era, as you can probably tell. But this one, of course, written by Chris Claremont, who wrote this original storyline, and the book tells you, it has editor's notes as to tell you like where and when this is happening. This has art by Damian Cusero. We'll talk about that in a second. Colors by Carlos Lopez, letters by Ariana Meher. In this book, Chris Claremont returns to the fan favorite duo when Kitty Pryde nearly lost her soul to Ogun during her journey to Japan. Logan was there to keep the youngest X-Men on the path to good. But as the mysterious force threatens their lives while staying with Mariko Yashida, it's going to take all of their combined mutant, ninja, and fighting skills to protect those they love. An all new adventure set in the aftermath of Chris Claremont's legendary Kitty Pryde and the Wolverine limited series at last tells the full story of the duo's journey in Japan before returning to the X-Men and the heartbreak, trials, and tribulations that made the characters what they are today. Also, this is I love in the synopsis when they add. By the way, there are multiple first appearances of characters here, so this is a collector's issue, right? So make sure to pick it up. Which I don't know if maybe if that's a selling point for you, then good on you. But if not, then I don't know. I don't know. That's not really why I buy comic books. I buy comic books to read cool stories and look at really cool stuff. So this will be collected eventually. I think it has a release date of like for December of this year. But I enjoyed the book. I was surprised as to how much I enjoyed it, and I shouldn't be surprised because these are two of my favorite characters. I love their relationship. I really think that, of course, Chris Claremont, and I've read that Kitty and Wolverine story from long ago. Um, they're from I think 1984 maybe. So I am familiar with although it's not fresh in my mind, I am familiar with those events, and kind of how different the characters were written when Claremont was doing them. But it's a good time. It's a fun time. I don't know that you can have a bad story with these two if they're written well. And of course, Chris Claremont is able to capture those voices. I think one of the standout things for me in this book was Damian Cusero's art. How they managed to really recapture the essence of those original comics. I don't even remember who might have done the art for those at the time, but they they just really managed to capture that. But it still has a little bit of a contemporary flair. Like it feels like they've been a little bit updated, and you'll see some of the preview art scrolling around in the video at some point. But yeah, I really like that. I really like the art. I like the design of Kitty. She looks like a teenager. She's got the short hair. She's a little bratty, but also she's been through a lot. And then Wolverine in this era was a little bit more of no nonsense type of fellow. Like he was a little more gruff. He's softened a bit, I think, in the more recent decades, since the 80s. Yeah, Wolverine's had a lot of growth as a person and as a character. So it's really interesting to go back and kind of hear that different voice and see that different Wolverine. So this was great though. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to trade weight this though because, like I said, I don't particularly enjoy reading books out of continuity, and I think the move here is going to be go back, reread Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, and then read this trade, and then just get the full story. I feel like Chris Claremont always had a lot of plans to make those stories maybe longer than they ended up being printed. He had an alternate end for the Phoenix Saga. He had alternate plans for a lot of things, but then editorial sometimes because of story reasons or whatever business reasons they sometimes did not come to fruition. So I'm glad that Marvel is giving him some time to revisit those stories, revisit that world, and this was a really fun one. I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of my favorite ones of the Claremont comeback era because he's done a few. He did a Gambit, he did a Storm, and those were okay. But this one right now really high expectations for me. And then, like I said, This cover, oh my god, who's this by? I really picked it up because of this cover. I think it's Adi Granov, and it makes sense. I love Granov's work. Um, so, hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Fantastic Four Fanfare number one. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. A great way to prepare yourself mentally for the upcoming Fantastic Four film, to get into the mood of these great characters. So let's talk about the synopsis of the book. Then I'll talk about the individual collaborators of this, because this is an anthology. There are four different stories. Marvel's first family in this special full color anthology series. I love that they add full color, like we were not like this was going to be a black and white issue. Each issue focuses on a particular member of the team. For the inaugural outing, Mark Waid and Ramon Rosanas depict an escalating prank war between the Human Torch and the Thing. Alan Davis sends the team into Hazard's deep underground, and Andrew Wheeler and Sarah Pacelli reveal what happens when the Mole Man interrupts Johnny's star-making turn on reality television. So let's talk about it. Let me talk about the three stories real quick. First, you realize, of course, this means war. That's the prank story. This is by Mark Waid, Ramon Rosanas, and Niraj Menon. I love that stuff. Mark Waid just knows how to write these superheroes so well, and then of course Rosanna's work. It just works so well. No pun intended, or I don't know, that was probably poorly worded, but it's just really fun to see this prank war kind of escalate. I love the character designs; they feel nice, they feel classic. It's really fun. Now for the next story, Lives of Gas. This is by writer and artist Alan Davis with colors by Matt Hollingsworth. This is just kind of a fun romp adventure. This is probably where you'll see the most sci-fi take on the Fantastic Four in this issue. Everything else feels a little bit more super heroic stuff. And then, of course, we have Monster Island of Love, because the Mole Man needs a little bit of love. And who else better to be on a Fantastic Four, you know, launching issue than the Mole Man, who was part of the first original issue of the Fantastic Four. This is great. This is really fun stuff. I can't wait to see who else they have on these adventures. Who else will be in this anthology? And it's just a really fun book to really get your hands on if you want to read some Fantastic Four without having to dive too deep into too much continuity. So, really. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Blood and Thunder number one. This is a book from Skybound and Image. I'm really excited to get into this one. The cover looks really cool, and just the idea of this book looks really cool, especially once that I've gotten into it. I went into this book not knowing what it was going to be about, but I know that Robert Kirkman was involved. So let's talk about the credits here. This is written by Benito Sereno and with art by E.J. Su, colors by Sasek, letters by Russ Wooten. This was created by Robert Kirkman, Benito Sereno, and E.J. Su. Hence it coming out through Skybound, right? Now, I guess for now, I will tell you this is not related to the Energon universe, as far as I can tell. I think this is a standalone story, and if you read the letter in the back from Kirkman and the team, you'll see that this is a story that he's had in his mind, and he's been working with these creators to really bring it to the pages of comics for a long time, even before, like, The Walking Dead blew up and pretty much kind of changed the industry and the way that some of these stories go to TV and all that. So, but let's talk about this book in particular. Set in a far future where the Earth has integrated alien species into a new society, Blood and Thunder plays by a whole new set of rules and a whole load of new crimes to solve. Bounty Hunter, Akadama, Bledsoe, and her cantankerous talking gun Thunder are the best there is at bringing in bad guys. However, when the galaxy's most dangerous criminal breaks out of prison, Blood's hunt deliver her down a path that will unlock secrets about her past, present, and future, and that's when things get really bad. Yeah, this is just a very cool, fast pace from the get go. Let's go do some really cool things. Let's see some bounty hunting. I got a lot of vibes of kind of the Fifth Element, if you've seen that film. And then of course a lot of the stuff with the bounty hunter and like chasing down criminals. Like it just feels like this very hyper stylized criminal story. The characters are a lot of fun. The character designs are really cool, but also the designs of the world. We get so much world building here from the art team. It's crazy. Like EJ Su has really put a lot of thought into just building out this world, building out the levels on Earth, everything that's beyond Earth. Like I don't want to give away too much information, but the the idea of having all these alien species interact with just regular everyday human beings is a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying that. I was very surprised to realize that that's kind of what this book was about, because it doesn't start like that, and once you kind of get into, you really get dropped in, literally and metaphorically, you get dropped in to the story when you meet Blood and Thunder. And then of course, and Robert Kirkman addresses it, and this is in the back of the book in the letter, like Blood and Thunder is just a really cool title for a comic book. So I was very excited to check this out. I love going into a new comic not really knowing what it's about, and then once I read it, going back and seeing how much the synopsis really feels like what they're selling. Everything they're telling you, everything I just read feels very authentic to the book, and it really fits, because sometimes you don't get that feeling, or at least the feeling that I get from reading a book doesn't really fully mesh with that. But this one knocks it out of the park. This one really nails it. So hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Free Planet #1. This is a new book from Image Comics, one that I was very excited to dive into because of the creative team. So let's talk about them first. This book is written by Aubrey Sitterson and Jed Doherty on art, so co-created by those two. We have colors by Vittorio Astone and letters by Taylor Sposito. And I have read some of Aubrey Sitterson's previous work, including No One Left to Fight 1 and 2, and I really loved how crazy and bombastic the stories were in those books. I think Free Planet is an evolution of that. It really, there's some seeds of the frantic pace of the story. There's some seeds of like the bombastic nature of No One Left to Fight, but this is a completely different thing in its own. So let me tell you what this one's about, and then we'll get into it. The first completely free planet in human history has won its independence. Now a group of revolutionary heroes must defend the planet's unique energy source from a pair of hostile intergalactic powers, while determining what complete freedom actually entails. This is a blend of history of East of the West with emotional space opera stylings of Saga, and a story about freedom and sacrifices and what it demands. Yeah, this is I will say this book is very dense, as far as like you get a lot of information thrown at you. So this is a book you really need to, and this is kind of what I did. I was reading comics for the week, and I was really in the zone. Like I knew I wanted to get into these books. I knew this one was a little bit different and a little bit. It requires you to like really focus in, because there's a lot thrown at you in the first issue, but that makes it just that much better, I think, in my opinion. Like you really are getting so much story, so much book. The art just obviously highlights all these aspects of everything that you're learning and experiencing from this world. The idea of this new planet, of this free planet, but then also you understand that there are repercussions to all that very quickly. That it was a hard fought freedom, and now it's kind of left up to this group of individuals who you learn a lot about, but there's still so much more to know about them. I really love, there's a lot of pages with double page spreads. There's still some paneling in within that, but it's like full pages, full 2 pages of art. Yeah, there's so much detail, so many vibrant colors. I think the color really brings out the otherworldly nature of this comic book. Even though this is Earth, it's a completely different Earth. And oh no, I mean sorry, it's not Earth. Even though this really feels like a completely different planet from Earth, is what I meant to say. But yeah, it's really really interesting stuff. And the way that each of these characters gets the little moment to shine in a book that is so filled with so much going on, I think it's just a really, really interesting effort, which I'm very excited for. Like I said, I like the creative team. I like what they've done in the past, and I'm looking forward to kind of diving further into this world now that I've had some time to really process all this stuff. Yeah, it's really cool. This was one of the books that I was really waiting for from Image, because they send us previews a little bit in advance of everything that's going on. But I have been holding off on reading because I wanted to wait for the right moment, and this weekend was definitely the right moment for that. Um, it just has a lot of very familiar tropes, but they're kind of spun in a different way. It's the story itself, it's elevated with these concepts of like freedom, sacrifice, and then what that entails to the individual, and then also to society as a whole. So there's a lot going on. Like I said, this one definitely feels like you're getting a lot of bang for your buck when it comes to a number one, both story wise, and then also just like when you invest in buying a new comic book, like it's fun to kind of see your return on here. So yeah, I'm very excited for the rest of the series. I don't know how long the creative team is planned for this. I don't know what the idea behind this is as far as like how long this is going to run, but as long as they're putting out quality stuff like this, I'll definitely be on board. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Vanishing Point number one. This is a new book from Mad Cave Studios. Very exciting stuff. I really was looking forward to this book because of its style. Now, I didn't realize it was going to be an anthology type of book until we really dove into it, and I started looking into things for the review itself. But let's talk about the creative team. This book is written by Mark Russell with art by Juan Doe. In this book, we have the Scream story. In Screams, the captain of a mining ship goes on a 10-year solo mission to the Jupiter asteroid belt, where he makes a horrifying discovery. The brainchild of Mark Russell, Vanishing Point is an anthology series of short stories that are part science fiction and part existential horror, with an exceptional roster of artists tackling each tale. These stories are with a twist in which the twist is not the point of the story, but a beginning point from which to ask, what does it mean to be alive? Yeah, this book is pretty heady. Like there's a lot happening on this one. Um, but I love anthologies like this. I feel like we've gotten to a point where anthology stories, like comic creators, have gotten so efficient and really good at writing anthology stories like this, where you don't need to plan out a whole series. You don't need to plan out a 6-issue arc. You just have something to say, something to put down. And I love that these publishers are taking a chance and just bringing stuff to the pages like this. Yeah, this was great, and it was bone chilling, and it was like messed up, and as every time you turn the page, like I didn't know what new horrible thing could happen in this book. So that was great, but I love it. It's a really cool blend of science fiction with these concepts of like exploration and space, and just the idea of like how in the future or in a possible future, society and the economy, how it could work. All this really highlighted by those beautiful art. Like I really love the character designs and the ships, the way we see space in here, but also the way that tension is kind of demonstrated in this book. It really works. It really worked for me. You'll be seeing some of that throughout the previews, but man, oh man, what an excellent ride for this book. I love the idea of having a different artist in each different issue, because I feel like the editors of the books have also gotten really good at pairing the correct art style with the like the ideas or the themes, or just the vision of the story. And I really love seeing that kind of come to life. I would be uh, very interested in talking to Russell about like how this book kind of came to be and how the creator team, how the artists were chosen for each of the stories. So maybe we'll reach out to Mad Cave and see what we can do. But thank you to Mad Cave for letting us preview this. I highly, highly recommend it if you are interested in just a one and done story, even if it's just the first issue that you want to check out to see if this is your jam. I highly recommend you check this out. Definitely gonna be worth your time and your investment. And just like, I know there's a lot of stuff to read, and I'm here to kind of try to filter out and bring all the good stuff. And this is some of that good stuff that you should be checking out. So, hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Lost Fantasy #1. This is a giant size book. Also, because you get a little preview of the Indigo Children coming back. So, but let's talk about Lost Fantasy #1 because I really enjoyed this book. I think it was a very interesting story. It's a very interesting world. Let's talk about the creative team first. This is written by Kurt Pyers with art by Luca Casalanguida, Mark Dale on colors, letters by Micah Myers. There you have it, Lost Fantasy. Uh, what is this book about? Let's talk about it. There is a world of magic, myth, and monsters that exist beneath the surface of our own. Since first contact was made over 100 years ago, the great hunters have kept us safe from the creatures that lurk in the shadows. But last night, something broke through. And it's up to rookie monster hunter Henry Blackheart to stop it. This is a fresh take on fantasy from creators Kurt Pyers and Luca Casalanguida. Hopefully, I said their name right better this time around. This is East to West meets Something is Killing the Children in this new ongoing series. I mean, those are two pretty heavyweight books to put out there in a remix. And then, of course, like I mentioned, there is the Indigo Children as they return in Indigo Children Exodus. Now, this is that story is only going to be serialized in this book. I did not read that story because I haven't read the original Indigo Children, so I'll only be talking about the Lost Fantasy, which was great. I really enjoyed it. It was a really fun time. I love fantasy, and I love the way that this book just starts like full throttle, no breaks. There's some really gnarly stuff. There are some children in danger, which is probably where we get the Something Killing the Children vibes. The art is very gnarly. It's got this really cool stylized just sense to it, and it really works. And then we meet our main character, Henry Blackheart, who's got a really cool design. He almost he reminds me of, if you are a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, he reminds me of Gojo because he's got the white hair. He's got the fully black outfit, and he does magic with his, like, he's got these magic powers that are not fully explored as of yet. But then we take a flashback to explain what's going on with this world, and I just love how the art changes into this more like classical fantasy story type of art. It's less gory, less bloody, less stylized, less in your face, and even the colors change to maybe have like a little bit of a less saturated palette. It's really good. I really like it. I really like how we are learning a little bit about Henry. We learn a lot about this world, the world here and how it's different from, like, it's an alternate take on our world where this fantasy stuff started to happen. But then we also have a mystery on our hands, which is probably the funnest part of the book. There's a mystery in multiple levels. What is this thing that hurt this child? What is it? What is the? I don't want to give away too much, so I'm trying to step lightly here. There are other forces at play. I'll say that we don't fully know or even fully understand. And then, of course, Henry has some really cool powers that we get to see here. So as we learn more about Henry, we learn more about this world. We learn more about this mystery. We get some super, super cool fights. And it just, anytime you pull out a giant sword, as you can see from here, very much Berserk inspired, I think. Yeah, this book just really inspired by a lot of things that I like. So I'm very happy to see this. Like I mentioned, I don't think I'll be reading the Indigo Children stuff until I get caught up with the original series. But the Lost Fantasy part of it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. So let's close out the show real quick with talking about one more thing. As you guys know, sometimes we get comic reviews in advance, and this was delayed a little bit. But this week, um, we're we're traveling back in time to a bygone era where everything was a cartoon.
The
Uh,
70s.
and now they're bringing. Is that? And this is not that old, is it?
No,
Oh,
90s.
okay. We're gonna be talking about Captain Planet and the Planeteers #1. This is a new book from Dynamite Comics.
That beard.
Yeah, this is not the Don Cheadle version from Saturday Night Live, or from the not from Saturday Night Live, from
Funny or Die.
Funny or Die.
Funny or Die.
This is way different. This is written by David Pepos with art by Eman Casallos, and it deals with, if you're not familiar with Captain Planet,
He's a
Earth,
hero.
Fire, yeah, Earth, Fire, Wind, Water, and Heart. With the powers combined, they summon Earth's greatest champion, Captain Planet, but they need to learn to trust each other first. After Gaia, the High Priestess of Earth, has been kidnapped, the Planeteers are forced to come together against the newly formed Might of Lucian Plunder. What a name!
What a nickname. What a name.
Even with Captain Planet on their style, will it be enough to save the Earth itself? So, like I mentioned, I mean, David Pepper is going to be doing that Speed Racer comic as well.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of really cool things, including the Space Ghost that we talked about a few months ago, and a whole lot of stuff. We have a whole interview with him on the channel, but I'll kick this off. I really enjoyed this. I think it's a very good kind of retelling of the origin of the Planeteers and Captain Planet. There's a lot of action in it. There's a lot of really fun, kind of like, the mythology of the Planeteers is not something that's super clear in my head because it's been such a long time since I've really gotten into it. But this is just kind of fun. I wish it was a little bit longer because I wanted the story to keep going. But that's because it was like really well paced, where I was just like, oh man, we're going, and all these things are happening, and like the memories are kind of reforming in my brain as I read this. But it's also put through a more contemporary lens too. And as you kind of get through the story, and the art's super cool. Like, it just looks like, it doesn't look like the cartoon, which sometimes I'm glad that they kind of change things up. But yeah, that's kind of my initial thoughts on this book. So Clay, what about you? How'd you feel about the Captain Planet numero uno?
I like David Peppo, so I wasn't able to finish it. That's the only problem. That's the only way I can't really judge it. But I did enjoy the art and the gathering of the Planeteers, like how he kind of sets that up in there. So yeah, I'm on board. I dig it. I just looked up. Yeah, Captain Planet was a 1990 cartoon, so it wasn't,
that's what I thought.
That old.
Yeah, I think this is the classic definition of like a first issue, like an old school first issue where you're like, we're setting out the structure of how the comic's going to get told. You introduce all the main characters, and at the end, you're like, well, you got to come back for issue number 2 because you're right. The story just I mean, it's 24 pages or however long a comic is. I feel like a lot of first issues are maybe a little supersized nowadays, where they try to get a little bit extra story. Yeah. But this very much feels like an old school, like, this is a first issue. Yeah, you get where your points of conflicts are. The bad guy's got a very bad guy name.
Yeah.
And it's a very basic. It doesn't deviate from the original Captain. Like Danny said, it just kind of modernizes it a little bit.
Including the look of Captain Planet himself and the kids too. Like, I feel like in the cartoon they didn't really have a backstory, the Planeteers, at least not that I remember. And here you get to very efficiently in like a couple of panels learn about who they are and why they were chosen. Almost as if kind of like a Green Lantern chooses their bearer.
That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, it's very similar, right? So, and I mean, obviously this is a Dynamite book, so they have a lot of very cool covers. So when you get to the shop on Wednesday,
I think that's a great cover.
Yeah, I do love that one.
He looks so cool. I love the kind of like the what like branches or the roots kind of going into him. I love that.
Yeah. I'm sure it's gonna look great on a chromium cover too.
The Jay Lee cover is also
that's
really
cool.
And it says it's connecting. So I'm wondering what else is like
Planeteers, maybe.
Yeah, maybe to the Planeteers. Christian Ward, I mean, he does his really cool stuff with like the watercolor type of look. And then this is Ben Oliver. I like this one. This one gives me like a lot of. I feel like this Captain Planet was a little cockier than I remember from the cartoon.
This Captain Planet fucks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's a good middle ground between the Don Cheadle and the cartoon Captain Planet, right? But I like that. I like that he's a little cocky. But then one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is Captain Pollution was just like such a deviant. So I can't wait to see how he if you're making Captain Planet like this and updating him, like I feel like he's also gonna get an update in later on whenever he comes out. So I
want the dark gritty reboot. I want Captain Planet to go after the CEOs that pollute water and like execute them on television. Like just get real dark, and all the Planeteers are like, what did we do?
Yeah, Clay's really.
That's what happens when you get teenagers with attitude.
I know. Yeah, that one's gonna be interesting. I don't know. I'm excited for this one. Like, I'm excited to see where this goes from here, because I
feel like Clay might get that, because there's a line in this book where she's like the Gaia, the mother of Earth, or whatever, the high priestess. She's like, I didn't know Captain Planet. Like, I thought you were a myth. And then he says something about how he hadn't been around in a very long time or whatever. So I'm sure there's going to be, and it's David Peppo, so I'm sure there's going to be some kind of like reconciliation for Captain Planet, where he's like, what the F did you guys do to the planet? Like,
right. Yeah, something.
We're going to have a team up with Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, 100%.
She's like, execute them all.
She definitely.
Captain Planet's definitely going to pour some Campbell's soup on like the Mona Lisa or something.
Yeah, she would definitely get a ring.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else on this book you guys want to talk about? I think we kind of covered it.
We can recycle those covers.
That's right.
Every single one of them should be like, we use recycled paper for this Captain Planet.
Yeah. Should, right. I mean, this was supposed to be. I believe this was to come out on Earth Day, like a couple weeks ago, but things happen. Comics get rescheduled. So, but yeah, don't pollute, Planeteers. I wish
the power is yours.
Yeah, the power is yours. I wish it had like a one page in the back, like an old school type of comic that has more of the feel of the cartoon with a little PSA.
Oh yeah,
that would have been great if they had like little planetary facts or something at the end.
But yeah, this is. I don't know. I like the way they're bringing all these properties back, and this one was a really fun one that I did not expect to be so excited about. But Captain Planet's got such a cool look. Like, he just looks cool. Like, such a cool design.
I feel like honestly, comics need to take, since we're no longer funding PBS or NPR. We need to start. We need to start educating kids through comics again.
Yeah.
So give us this one. Give us a Carmen Sandiego comic so they can learn about geography. Stuff like that.
Inspector Gadget. Learn about physics and stuff.
Give us the dark gritty reboot of Magic School Bus.
You defunded my school. I'm coming after you.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, there you have it. It's been a long.
We're going into the hearts of men.
Yeah.